Okay, guys, you want to sit in the front row? Well,
I didn't see last time.
Oh, you
so
did?
I'll put all three of your motions together.
Okay. I'm very excited.
I see. I can do one of the
So I would, if you want to pay for it, I would see Rick. If you want $5, see Rick.
Okay, I just did talk to him.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think we start until Rick Stanton is sitting down. Isn't that the rule? So good morning. How about just a round of applause just to get us started? Good to see your smiling faces on this misty, moisty morning. How many people are enjoying this weather? Yeah. I'm a summer gal, and so I normally don't. But you know what? It feels good. My husband and I, he took a little walk through Cheeseman because we got here early. And I even took my shoes off because it's hard to walk in heels. And got in the grass, and it was freezing cold. And I have grass and grit stuck to the bottom of my feet, and I don't care. Hey up there, good to see you. Hi on the balcony. All right, my name is Jenny Castleberry. I am part of the team that helps to bring you amazing Sundays like we're going to see today, and I am your MC, your mistress of ceremonies today. So I will help the flow, at least that's my intention. And there are a couple of things we like to take care of first. Turn off your cell phone, or put it on mute, or put it on stun, or whatever it takes for you not to have it go off at an inopportune moment. And then we also start every service with a land acknowledgement and an anti-racism statement, because these are two things that are very important to us, especially as we grow. And so with these, I'm going to read these to you. We want to acknowledge that this is the indigenous land of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Ute peoples, and it is important for us to name. Their legacy matters because this was their sacred ground, and it is made more holy for Althea because of it. To ensure that this is land acknowledgement that is more than just a statement, which we often hear, Althea looks for opportunities to be impactful partners and allies for Indigenous communities. Our building is home to 2 nonprofit organizations that impact these communities in Denver. They are Spirit of the Sun and Sisters of Color United in Education, whose work through activism, programming, and education is impactful for these communities. Our anti-racism statement is that we also want to acknowledge that though we are growing in diversity at Althea, we have a long way to go. We have been a place where mostly people are white and mostly skew a little bit older. We do have a strong and have always had a strong LGBTQ+ membership, but there's so much more that we can do to become even more welcoming and inclusive. Institutional racism is real. Implicit and unconscious biases are real. And it is the lived experience of our neighbors of color, people with diverse abilities, and other groups that don't have the same privileges as everyone in our culture. So we ask for all of your help and feedback to get us to a place of deep belonging for everyone. So thank you for that. We also, at the very beginning, like to welcome new folks. Is this the first time for anyone here? If it is, raise your hand, because you're going to get a free lunch. It is so worth raising your hand. You wish. We wish you were new. Anybody? Wow, okay. It's all right to have our normal crowd. That is wonderful. So, we have some beautiful flowers that I guess you can take one. And still eat lunch with us, even though your donation will be greatly and graciously accepted. So to get in the zone, today is about God in unlikely places. So think about that as we bring up our beloved Dick Peterson to lead us in an opening prayer.
Just sit in a comfortable way as you want to. Put your eyes shut. Be in a state of prayer. And this morning we're thankful in this day, in this church, in this building, for God, for Spirit, whatever you want to call it, that sense that all of us have from time to time, that there's something more in this world, something more in the universe. And we know that there's something else with us and staying with us and helping us. We're thankful for this facility, for this history of this building, for the spirits that have worked here and been here before. Some of them we know, and some of them most we do not know. Because this building and this building has a long, long history of spiritual movement going into it. And we give great thanks for the people today, for the service, for the talk later on, the music later on, and everybody here. And we turn this over to the Lord, knowing it is already so, and so it is. Amen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Stand as you're able and join me for our statement of being, followed by the face of God. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God and are every one of this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. You are the face of God. I hold you in my arms. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. We are a family. You are the face of God.
Thank you, Daryl. Our guest musician today is part of the family. He's been coming for, 40 years? 7 years. Woohoo, longer than I have. Chris Webster is a cherished longtime Althea community member and one of our favorite musicians. He is also a scuba diver extraordinaire. And if you ever want to be really, really envious, sit next to him at lunch and just have him tell you all the places he's been on this planet so that he can scuba dive. He's a lover of the ocean. Whenever I think of Chris, I think of ocean. So please help me welcome Chris Webster.
Thank you, Jimmy, for that wonderful introduction. It's so nice to be back in front of all you guys. It's the first time I've been back up here performing since the pandemic. So, we've got a couple nice tunes for us this morning. Hope you enjoy that. Hello, my friends, it's been a while. All our old clothes are back in style. We went our separate ways, only to return to face a lesson we failed to learn. We didn't understand truth. We were blinded by the eyes of youth. Time kept on moving, and a change has come. You think that I don't know where you're coming from, but I feel just like you, and I cry just like you. But I heal just like you. take away your confidence. But you're not those woman, I'm not that man. Put your arms around me, darling, 'cause I am your friend. 'Cause I feel just like you and I cry just like you. But I hear just like you. It's under my skin. I'm just like you and everybody else. I get hurt, I cry for help. I got secrets God only knows. And He knows that I feel just like you and I cry just like you. And I heal just like you and I break down just like you. 'Cause I feel just like you and I cry just like you. And I heal just like you. It's under my skin. I'm just like you.
Thank you, Chris. Beautiful, beautiful. And with the theme, I can see some parallels there. Speaking of the theme, our guest speaker today is Stephen Burge, who is becoming a regular here. I don't mean irregular here, a regular here at Althea. Because people hear him speak and then they say, okay, when's he coming back? When's that guy coming back? And it's funny because I tend to talk to Stephen ahead of time, since part of my role here is to schedule speakers and find out what they want to talk about. And every time he comes up here, he talks about, well, Ginny told me to say this, and Ginny told me not to be too long, and Ginny. So I'm going to talk about you real quick. That literally 2 minutes before we were supposed to start, he said, can I get paper and pencil for everyone? And I said, no. So you're going to do something in your head because I told Stephen no. And so maybe he'll be talking about me now, the background stuff, right? But let me tell you the real story about Stephen. So Stephen is a Denver-based performer, storyteller, director, and arts educator, and actor. You need to add that one. He has appeared on stages all across the Front Range, including the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, the Arvada Center for the Arts, Curious Theater, and more. He feels this is an important part of his message and what you need to know about his background, that he and his sister were raised in a liberal-leaning but very much Christian household in rural America, and he is still able to find comfort in several aspects of his family's faith tradition. So with his message, God in Unlikely Places, please help me welcome Stephen Burge.
This was clean in advance, but I am going to tell you about Jenny's influence in today's thing. She invited me to come talk with all of you, and she had been very helpful in helping me decide what to talk about the last time I was here, which was about transformation and sort of the discomfort that comes with becoming your most authentic self sometimes. And so I looked to her for guidance again, and I said, well, what approach are y'all missing, or that you might like me to try to take? And she said that a previous spiritual leader here used to be able to tell a story really, really well and engagingly, and then pick it apart, and then turn it over to y'all to like dissect and ruminate and think about. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I would do that. And then I picked a story that I was like, this is going to be so great, because everyone's going to think that I know where I'm going, and then I'm going to switch the script, and everyone's going to be shocked with the problem and totally moved and like go into the world and do greatness because of me. But the problem with that was that I realized that the book that I was going to choose, the story that I was going to choose, is beloved by many people, probably people here, and it is not beloved by me. So I knew that at some point I would have to say that and sort of lean into the darker side of that. And as she mentioned, I am a theater educator. We have a term in theater education: don't yuck someone else's yum. And that is to inspire people, young people especially, not to say things like, I hate that show, or, because it makes you feel embarrassed if you like it, right? Like, can you imagine one of the actors like, I hate science, and then some little kid loves science, and then is like, I shouldn't do science because that makes me a nerd, and then we never have a cure for the common cold or something because of someone yucking their yum. So I decided last night I shouldn't do that thing, and now, what am I going to do? Is Rick over there? I was gonna ask for dramatic chord, but I forget it. Cue it in your mind. Okay. Thanks so much for your help trying to come up with the idea. I loved it. I'm not gonna do it. Okay. As she mentioned, my sister and I were raised in a Christian household, and part of that included every single night, pretty much, my dad or my mom would read the Bible to us. Age-appropriate Bibles. We started with Baby's First Bible, and then the Children's Bible, and then in confirmation age, middle school, high school, we got the real Bible. I still have one, bought this myself. It's bound in pink leather. I love it very much. And somewhere in the Children's Bible, it was pretty thick, it was pretty hefty. It was a good gateway Bible drug to the real one because of the size and the substance and all that. And I have a very specific memory of my dad getting to the end of the whole thing. And I would sit in rapture, and my sister would sit, she's a little younger than me, but we would still sit and listen. And it was all over. I very honestly turned to my father and said, wow. And what planet did all that happen on? And he said, on Earth, it happened on Earth. And my mind was blown. Like at some point during the thing, the stories became so fantastic that though I believed them, did not believe it could have possibly happened on Earth. You know, and I, at that time, was a big Star Wars fan, so I just sort of started to equate the two, you know? And so that led to many more questions. I remember saying, oh, okay, then what about dinosaurs? Were they real? Yes, dinosaurs were real. And I was like, and Jesus wrote dinosaurs? No. Jesus didn't write dinosaurs. Because we're the good kind of Christians. We're the reasonable ones. We understand history and evolution. Anyway, so my dad said, no, Jesus didn't write dinosaurs. And then I was like, okay, and then what about cavemen? It went dinosaurs, then cavemen. Were Adam and Eve cavemen? No, they're not cavemen. I was like, okay, so it went dinosaurs, cavemen, then the first people, Adam and Eve, and then Noah, and then Jesus, and then all of us, yes. So that is correct. Later on, that would prove problematic when he told me the truth about Santa Claus, and I was like, oh, so if Santa's not real, does it mean Jesus not real too? Boy, that started a good conversation. Played against that. Anyway, sorry if anyone was watching at home with a little kid. Santa's real. Anyways, I learned that upbringing was totally normal for me, that I was allowed to ask these questions. My sister was allowed to ask these questions. We were encouraged, not just allowed, but encouraged to ask questions to find out what we believe. That was not the case for everyone, and I didn't really know that until later in life, as I started to meet people who were really by the book, shall we say, really serious about taking things literally, and that blew my mind as much as finding out that all of this happened on planet Earth, because I just couldn't reconcile how people could take this so literally when there are literal contradictions, sometimes within the same testing, you know? So as I proceeded with my faith journey, it would ebb and flow. Sometimes I would believe deeply in something, sometimes I wouldn't believe in anything at all, and I kept finding myself meeting people who would help me on that journey, sometimes very much by accident. At one point, I worked for Mercy Housing. That is a national nonprofit organization working to end homelessness through affordable program-enriched housing for families, seniors, and people living with special needs. The boss of that, the CEO, was an incredible woman named Sister Lillian Murphy. She was a Sister of Mercy, a nun. And I am not. And I worked in her communications team. And I remember one time when we first met, it was definitely like sizing each other up. I was very scared of her. She was, I think, wary of me. And over the years, we found a pretty wonderful and I think unique connection. At least it was to me. I know that she had connections with people all over the place. She was a big deal. Like she was approached by Barack Obama's office to be part of HUD, and she turned him down because she was like, I need to do the real work in these communities, right? So getting to just spend any time with her was pretty empowering. And one day she invited me to lunch, and I thought I was going to get fired or something. And instead she just wanted to talk to me and allowed me to talk to her. And I remember being scared to ask this question. And I said, but I finally worked it out, and I said, do you ever have any doubts? And she said, yes. If I didn't have any doubts, I wouldn't have faith. And that has lived with me for a long while. That the opposite of faith isn't necessarily belief, but maybe it's doubt, and those two things can live at the same time. And I remember thinking that if there was doubt in that, there was God in that, because there was this woman, this person who was doing incredible things because of her faith base, but she had to stray from things every once in a while. There are pretty traditional Catholic belief systems. For example, in California, she opened affordable housing for senior citizens in the LGBTQAI community. That's it. And when I asked her why she did that, why it was specific to that community, she said because so many senior citizens in that community had tried to earn a living at a time when it was okay to fire people for their sexuality and gender expression. So whereas somebody who didn't have that, live in that community, was able to accumulate some kind of wealth and whatnot, many of these people were not able to do that. They were now in their twilight years. They couldn't afford to live in California, so she opened housing for that community specifically. That also blew my mind, because this is opposite of what so many people in more traditional faith practices believed, right? I have a very good friend named Katie. Katie, I think I've talked about here before. Katie is a devout atheist, but she tries to believe, she tries to understand at least. She's a social worker, and very often we'll have these conversations, and she'll say, why do you believe this when all these terrible things are happening to the people I'm trying to serve? And I don't always have a good answer, but we have this dialogue. And what I always come back to is that whether or not she believes, she is doing the work, right? She's living the Christian or godly life much more than many self-proclaimed Christians, because she's getting her hands dirty. She's working with people who need assistance. She's helping them find housing. She's helping them find resources to overcome addiction, mental illness, all these things that so many other Christians will turn their backs on this community. She's leaning into them and helping them, not because she thinks God said so, but because she is just called to do that. Another example is my friend Sarah. The real title of this was my friend Sarah's favorite Bible verse, or Finding God in Unlikely Places. Sarah, I met 20 years ago, when I came to Colorado. I came to do a show called Little Shop of Horrors, and then I was going to leave. It was a 3-month contract, and then I was out to the next contract, and it has now been 19 years, so obviously somebody had a different plan for me, I guess. And one thing is, Sarah was pregnant. She was pregnant at a point in life, which I don't really understand all the pregnancy stuff, but when she was pregnant at a point in the process where she would grow every day. And so the costumer did this brilliant thing where she put her in a dress, and then instead of a red ribbon right here, a red belt, it was this elastic red ribbon that was stitched in, and so her stomach just grew as the show went on. It was really, she was very, very pregnant. And while getting to know her over the years, I learned that she was what she calls an ex-evangelical. She was raised in a really evangelical household, and all through college she went to, I can't remember, Oral Roberts University, like really conservative college. upbringing. One time, she tells a story about how one time the family lawnmower broke, and they encircled the lawnmower, held hands, and prayed over it. And then it turned back on. She said that, and I believe it, because she's a tall tale teller, but that seems like that really happened, right? So she also had affirmation for these really conservative faith traditions, right? And then at college or something, she sings beautifully, and she was always sort of put down for singing, because when she would sing in public, people would applaud for her, right? And her conservative family was saying, you are being, you're allowing this gift of God to glorify you, not God, right? So she felt guilty about this ability to sing, to bring joy to people, and she would do her best to sort of like squelch it down and blend it in, but she just doesn't. She just can't do it. And she has, over the years, then when she left college, she found the other side of that social spectrum, which was New York actors, right? And suddenly, the people she loved more than anyone on earth flew in the face, existed in direct opposition to everything she had been taught, and none of them were bad people. So very slowly, her heart started to open, and she started to own herself as a member of this community, and as a result, lost faith for a while. So we talk about God a lot, and we talk about where we find God, and we have come to this conclusion that there's a lot of similarities between church and theater. You're called a congregation. In our world, you're called an audience, right? Right now, I'm the minister or the speaker in the theater. I would be the actor. We come together. We tell stories together. We exist in the same space. We breathe the same air. And so often, I think there's this idea that that world can't be God because it's just theater. But at the same time, that's where I feel God the most. That's where I know Sarah feels God the most. We send each other videos of like TikToks of people just singing incredible high notes, or some wonderful passage, and we'll just trade it back and forth, and we'll say, won't he do it? There is God right there. We find God in those big brassy belching show tunes when most people just hear the song, right? So I was thinking about the other places where people might expect to find God and then not, or vice versa, where they don't expect to find God and suddenly do. And one of the ways that I do that is I'll ask people, sometimes I get paid to go to fundraising dinners and sit at tables and engage people to make them talk, And I find that one of the best things I can do is just ask them, what is your art? And people almost always clam up a little and they say, I don't do it, I'm an accountant, I'm a this, I'm a that, whatever, I don't do art. And then I'll say, come on, man, you must be a punk boy. You play a little guitar, sometimes you get a little friend who's playing the guitar. And yes, fine, they play the guitar. Or I spoke very recently with a woman who insisted that she was not an artist, and then showed me pictures of a quilt that she had been making for a person experiencing homelessness. An unhoused person, right? I was like, this is beautiful art. Do you recognize this? And she doesn't make money doing it. She does it because she loves it. And these kinds of stories, whether I sing in the shower or I play the guitar after a couple of beers or I make these quilts, what I hear really is this is where God exists for me. This is when I'm the most authentic self. And I've been taught that I need to push it down, or I've been taught that it won't make me money, or I've been taught this or that, or don't glorify myself through this. Because it's not God, it's me, right? There are all these reasons for you to suppress what it is inside you that sort of lets you shine or lets you feel alive and like your most authentic self. And that, I think, is like if we believe in any kind of sin, sometimes I think that's the most sinful thing you can do because you're like suppressing the God energy in you for not really a good reason, right? At least in my opinion. So, I asked Sarah recently what her favorite Bible verse was. And she said, Zephaniah 3:17. And I, though I am a preacher's kid, don't remember that one. I didn't even remember Zephaniah was a book of the Bible. I thought she was just messing with me. I said, that's not real. And she's like, yes, it is. It's my favorite one. I was like, okay. So I looked it up, and it's really simple. It's really short, really simple. And so I thought I needed some more context I'm going to spare you reading the whole entire thing because it is quite upsetting, but I want to give you a little lead-in to Sarah's favorite verse. Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 1. The word of the Lord that came to Zephaniah, judgment on the whole earth in the day of the Lord. I don't mean to smile. I don't mean to laugh. It's just okay. I will sweep away everything from the face of the earth, declares the Lord. I will sweep away both man and beast. I will sweep away the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea and the idols that cause the wicked to stumble when I destroy all mankind on the face of the earth, declares the Lord. And I was like, Sarah, what? This is your ex-evangelical roots telling you. She said, no, just keep going, don't read that. So I continued on. This continues on. Be silent before the sovereign Lord, for the day of the Lord is near. The Lord has prepared a sacrifice, and he has consecrated those he has invited. On the day of the Lord's sacrifice, I will punish the officials and the kings and the sons. On that day, I will punish. On this day, declares the Lord, a cry will go up from the fish gate. I don't know what a fish gate is. Wailing from the new quarter. A loud crash from the hills. On and on and on. God is gonna punish. Right? And so I got to. So I was like, maybe Sarah doesn't know her favorite verse. So I read. It's more punishment. Everyone's going down. And I finally get to this. So I skipped ahead. This is Sarah's favorite Bible verse. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but he will rejoice over you with singing. Somehow, in this giant Bible verse that is destruction, Sarah found the one time that it is mentioned that God will sing. Her gift is right there in that verse. And it makes a lot of sense to me why that's her favorite Bible verse. And she was so upset with me that I reminded her of everything that preceded it. But I find that to be really, really beautiful. And so now, I invite you to think where you might find God. In the midst of all of this blah in the world, where might God be for just one verse, one for you? Where might you find God in a place where you didn't expect to see God? And how can you reflect that love energy? This thing that y'all start with every single day, I love it. God is in all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power. I love this. So I invite you to really meditate, think on that, while my young friend Naomi comes up and sings not a church song, not a spiritual, but a big, brassy, belty show tune.
Even when we grow old.
My goodness, what a hard act to follow. You guys have done such a great job. Naomi, one of the things I used to do here at Althea was lead the Soulshine Jam before the pandemic. And Naomi used to come perform and dance, and she's all grown up now. Oh my gosh. It was fabulous, Naomi. Really, really nice. And Stephen, you didn't know it, but our previous director was a huge Star Wars fan. So you were a little And in fact, this is a song, it's a Bruce Coburn song. Bruce Coburn is, I think I played one of his tunes the first time I played here. I played Child of the Land. And he's sort of the Canadian Bob Dylan, I like to call him. And Jonathan was a huge fan of his, and I worked this tune up about the time when Alexa came along. So this one is dedicated to her and all the Ellerbees and to all the guys as well. It's called All the Diamonds. the ship comes sailing. Thank you.
Hey, God. Hello, my love.
The world is completely out of control.
I know, it's such an adventure, right?
No, it's like being on a runaway train. I need to feel like I'm in control of my life.
You want to be in control?
Yes.
You are living on a spinning, wet rock of a planet that resides next to the consistently exploding fireball in the middle of an ever-expanding universe that is filled with mysteries beyond your wildest imagination.
Okay.
And on this planet that you are hurtling through great expanse on, you are cohabiting with billions of other people who have free will and their own experiences that shape their perspectives and beliefs.
Yeah?
And while all this is going on, your soul is residing in a physical body that is such a miracle of delicate engineering that at any given moment could produce its last heartbeat.
Right.
What is it about your existence that you think you have any control over? Come on, you know the answer to this. What can you control?
How kind I am to people?
Yep. And one other thing.
What's that?
How kind you are to yourself. Aside from that, most of everything else is a bit of an outside of your design.
That's a bit terrifying.
All great adventures are. Thank you, Judith and Sarma. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's my kid. This is the time when we remember that as amazing as miracles are, to keep the lights on, sometimes you have to pass a basket. So this is where we literally pass a basket and ask you to dig deep and show your support, appreciation, and love for Althea by giving money. You can put cash and checks in that basket. You can put jewelry, I suppose, if you really wanted to. I don't know if we've had that happen. But it's a cashless, checkless world in many ways. So on your program is a QR code where you can give. You can go to our website. You can sign up to give every month. You can use the dip jar in the back. The dip jar allows you to take a credit card and dip, that's 10, dip, that's 20. Just keep on going. I'm pretty sure it's like Las Vegas. Something will happen. Good for us, for sure. And this is also a time as the baskets are being passed around. You guys go for it, basket people. Sorry, I wasn't clear. Absolutely pass the baskets. I guess I have to invite the ushers. You're invited. We have a fundraiser going on to celebrate 100 years next month. We are going to make happen $100 checks times 1,000 people gets you to 100,000. We have had 33 donors so far. We're at about 5,100. And so we're getting there. And toward the end, during announcements, I'll tell you one cool thing that we're doing to raise some more funds for that. So we'll give it a moment for those baskets to get around. And when you're ready, you can come to the front. Thank you so much. much, everyone who gave and will give. And so now we like to, again, as part of what we believe around affirmative prayer and affirming everything, we ask that you help recite with us. The universe provides all that I need and all that I give. With great joy, I share my prosperity, planting seeds for a world I am helping manifest. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. What we'd like to do now, segueing right into prayer, is a section we call Prayer of the People. And that's where we take microphones and we go out into the crowd with you up in the balcony and see if there is anything that you would like us to pray about on your behalf. And Rick Kitzman is part of a group of prayer partners. He will take down the information and they will pray for you. Also know, after the service, we always have, hello, sorry, in the historic library. I think it's Dick and Lee Peterson. If you can raise your hands, Dick and Lee. And so if anything, there's something happening in your life or something about today that makes you want to sit down with someone, they will guide you through a very personal prayer process. So that's immediately after services. So we have our microphones ready. And by the way, we also love to hear those of you who asked us in the past to pray for someone who's having surgery or experiencing something. We'd love to hear how things turned out, right? So who wants to go first? Just raise your hand. Do not be shy. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay. Well, I adopted a 1-year-old kitten about 2.5 weeks ago. And he's been a blessing in my life. And animals teach you a lot. But as I had a guest staying with me, when he left, the cat disappeared. I could not find him. This just happened over this weekend. Last night I couldn't sleep. I kept waking up. And finally I prayed. I prayed to God, Mother Mary, to help him find his way back home. And at 4 a.m, I got up, I went into my kitchen to heat up my tea to help me sleep, and I heard him at my back door, and there he was.
Oh.
I have a friend named Sally who grew up here, and now she's back to have surgery. And I know she's worried she's not going to make it, but I would love your prayers for her well-being, for her recovery.
All right.
Thank you.
I would like prayers for all the souls affected by the storms. We've just had 2-leggeds, 4-leggeds, everybody, all of them.
Right, the hurricanes, okay? All right.
I would add to that because I have friends in Florida who visited 3 months ago, and there's another storm coming. So pray for that too.
Yes. All right, thank you. Oh, Peter?
I'd like prayers for the person who made this.
Okay. Do you have a name? No? Okay. All right. Who is next? Everybody good up there? Do you want a mic? Oh, yep. Upstairs we have one. Okay, we'll meet you. Hello. Hi.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. Yes. So as far as prayers go, my cousin's stepmom. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, let's get that right. Okay. Her name is Teen, and essentially the doctors have told her that they can't do anything else for her. But you know, let's say the prayer may change things. Okay.
As it does.
So there's that, as well as thankfully, oh my gosh, God is so good. We were able to put my aunt into a home who has dementia. However, there has been some turmoil in there with some people, and I'm just praying that God, smooths over their hearts and they treat her well, and they take care of things of that nature. As well as my mom, she had shortness of breath yesterday. I know that's the first health issue that she's had. And so I just pray, God just kind of takes that away because I need her around, So those are the few things, as well as, sorry, I know there's a lot. I know you guys haven't seen me, it's just like we've been going through some things. But also there has been a leak in our home. And I mean, man, messed up the floor, the ceiling's coming down. But hey, God is in the midst. Because now insurance is taking things over, so that is, thank you, Lord. So yeah, there are some prayers and some thank you, hallelujahs in there. So
Yes,
thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And just make sure Rick gets all those things. He's the guy that make it happen. All right, do we have anyone else? Oh, you got Chris here? Oh, wait, we have a couple. Okay, who's first?
Whoever gets their one first.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Go ahead.
Oh, you got it.
Go ahead.
Just pray for peace in the world on a macro level, that we will learn to live together, whether in Russia or Ukraine or anywhere else in the world, that we can get this world together and present a decent climate to our descendants.
Amen. Yeah, I want to ditto on that. And last week somebody mentioned about keeping us from nuclear wars, so I'm adding that again this week. Yeah, always. It's such a tumultuous time. But I did talk with my aunt, my father's sister this week, the first time in a while. Her husband, Jack, is suffering with that. So prayers for Jack. And then lastly, for a member here at Delphia, Jeannie Ranieri. She's going through a lot of health things. So
Okay. Got that right? All right. You got one?
I would like to say thanks. Sarah said that she was praying for me. She must have really done some praying. Because I had shoulder replacement surgery a couple of months ago, and it's been amazing. I mean, the recovery is incredible. So I'm so appreciative.
Wonderful. Okay. Last call. We got plenty of time. Okay, thank you so much. So, as we start to come to the close of this beautiful ceremony, announcements we like to share. Oh, and also prayer requests. If you'd rather keep it private, you can put them online. Just go to our website and we have an online prayer portal there. We have so many things. I say this every Sunday when I do the announcements, right? We have so many things going on. You can always go to our website and see what's going to be happening, what speakers are coming, what classes we're holding. We had hundreds of people in this building yesterday for an event. All day long, we survived it. Daryl, where is Daryl? Oh my gosh. Give this man a round of applause. Because you know what our bathroom situation is like, up and down. We're not usually ready for hundreds for hours. He made it happen. He was here till 1 a.m. to make that event happen and fill this space. And these people have been with us now 2 years, and I bet you they're going to do it here next year. So things are happening in this space. Very cool things. So please check it out. And we're also trying to keep track of things in the other room as well. Matthew Quigley, who is our chef also in life, does a 90-minute journey of restorative yoga. So restorative yoga is not core power, hot yoga, sweat, hard. He plays guitar, he chants. It is restorative, it is amazing, and it's a 90-minute journey every Sunday, today included, from 2 to 3:30 p.m. right here in the building. So check that out, talk to the chef. Every Thursday on Zoom, Kathy Humphreys takes us through what's called Community Connections. It's been going on for a very long time. Every Thursday at 11 a.m. to 12:30. It helps us stay connected, and we share topics openly. So check that out, how you can join that Zoom. As we said, it's our 100-year celebration. And a couple of weeks ago, Mark Upshaw matched $1,000 for 10 people who wrote checks for 100. We made it in less than 72 hours. And now the amazing Diane Beal, who is not here today. Where is Diane? Yeah. She has done the same thing. I will write a check for $1,000 if in 72 hours, so Wednesday, you get 10 people to write a $100 check. So that is your mission, folks. Be part of making that happen if you haven't already. And what is this going to? We can get tons of dollars from the city of Denver, the state of Colorado, to fix the outside of this building, but they leave us on our own for the inside. And all you have to do is look up and don't look up there. We have to take care of all of that, and don't look at that carpet from 1947. Don't look at it. But you know, these things also take money. So that's what we're trying to do, is raise $100,000 for our 100-year celebration. And we have some cool things coming up. We have a special Sunday on October 16th. That's 2 Sundays from today, where we're going to feature Mark Upshaw, who's going to tell you about the history of this place, the secrets, the architecture, all the weird stuff. Could be a ghost story or two in there. I don't know. But he's going to get up and talk about that. We're going to have beautiful special music. We're going to have historic artifacts that you can see on display. And we're going to host a 100-year happy hour social mixture on Tuesday, October 18th. So you may get out your phone now if you need to put it in your calendar so you don't forget. From 5 to 7, food, cocktails, mocktails, it's going to be fun. So that is Tuesday, October 18th, just to celebrate that we've been here 100 years. Your next speaker on October 9th is Claudia Marrero Michalik. Oh, God, darn, I said it. How do I say her name? Michalik. Yeah, they helped me with that. Marrero Michalik. She's coming from Florida to be our guest speaker, and it's going to be an amazing Sunday. She's going to talk about the universal laws. And then we also have October 22nd from 2 to 5, Jazz Smith, who was our MC last week, will offer his program, The Ideals of Love. It's about relationships that have lacked framework of integration and unites us for our highest potential for love. Check that out on our website and sign up. The last thing I will say about announcements, we always love volunteers. It doesn't have to be all the time. It could be this Sunday, helping clean up in the kitchen afterwards. Sarma, raise your hand, our wonderful person over volunteers. That's what she needs right now, folks. People to come early, about 9 o'clock, help in the kitchen. They turn up the music. They have a ton of fun. I think they eat some of the food while they're doing it, especially the desserts, so they get those first. And then people to stay after and help out. We will have a deep dive. Is that correct, Stephen? Are we doing a deep dive after?
Sure.
Okay, apparently we're doing a deep dive. If you want to dive more deeply into small breakout groups that will be facilitated by Stephen on this subject of finding God in unlikely places, meet in the historic library around 12:20, we'll probably say. Do join us for lunch today. We have an amazing lunch. And I just want to take a moment to say, let's thank all the people who make Sundays happen, who show up, who make days like yesterday happen, who get up and sing for us, and are keeping our community strong and getting stronger. So big thank you to all of those people. And we will wrap it up with a beautiful community song and a closing prayer by Bob Burkoff. So, do we actually want to do the prayer first, or do you want to do the song first? There we go. Okay.
We are specifically asking you to we'll do this all first. Yeah, so please stand as you're able and join us in Rocky Mountain High.
So you guys all know this tune, I believe. And large intro, and then you guys know how it is. Okay, here we go.
He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he'd never been before. He left yesterday, goodbye again. You might say he was born again. You might say he found the key for every door. When he first came to the mountains, his life was far away. The road hanging by his soul. But the string's already broken, he doesn't really care. He's changed, he won't last alone. But Colorado, Rocky Mountain High, I see it raining fire in the sky. The shadow from the sidelines, solid on the Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Gun feel up and saw silver clouds below. Saw everything as far as you can see. And they say that he got crazy once and he tried to touch the sun. And he lost a friend but kept the memory. Now he walks in quiet solitude, the forest and the streams. Rains and every empty day. Inside has turned inside himself, crying under the hand. The serenity of clear blue mountain lake. And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I'm seeing rain and fire in the sky. You can talk to God.
something wonderful. Please stay standing. Think of something wonderful. Something you'd like to increase in your life, to attract into your life. Something like you'd like to give to other people. Just think of that for a second. Okay, and now we'll do a call and response. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
I know it. I feel it. I envelop it. I hold it. It's in my heart. It's in my body. It's in my mind. It's in my soul. I accept it. I feel it. I am it. And so it is.
Yes.